So last year I painted the Mona Lisa on a live stream, and ever since I've been thinking, man, I'd love to ruin more classics. I decided I want to redraw 3 classic paintings today, and I'll do all of them in MS Paint. Yay! So let's start off with Girl with a Pearl Earring, which was painted by Johannes Vermeer around 1665 using oil paint. It was created during the Dutch Golden Age of painting and is considered a Choni painting, which, if you don't know what that is essentially a study of facial expressions. I didn't know that either until I researched this video, so don't worry. For reference, if you're curious what my usual art style looks like, well, you're looking right at it. I wanted to ease ourselves in with a nice, simple portrait, although of course it's never that simple since it's classic painting, but hey. So my process for painting this in Microsoft Paint, I've talked about this before in one of my previous videos. It is identical to my process when I'm traditionally painting. I start with the background and then I build on top. The thing about MS Paint is that it is pretty unforgiving, so when you make a mistake, you end up having to shift over every little thing that you've created along with it. So you can see several times throughout this piece that I had to shift things over, and then there's these gaps of white in the background and everywhere else. Pain in my ass, but we roll. Drawing this painting was really sending me back to art school. I could just vividly imagine my painting professor looking over my shoulder while I'm working on my canvas and telling me every single thing that I did wrong. It's like I'm still in university. You know, I talked about realism in my last video. I didn't really get into it though. Today I'm going to complain. I hate realism. I really hate doing it. And the reason why is because there's so many subtle little details that you need to get correct, or else you're gonna end up with the most uncanny valley portrait ever. So the moment you look at a piece of realism and you see a mistake, it completely breaks the immersion. And I hate that so much. Realism is just so complicated and detail-oriented in a way that I can't stand. I honestly think that realism painters, you guys are a bunch of masochists. Like, there's no other way. That being said, my rule of thumb is I will never, ever, ever, ever point out the flaws in my drawings. And the reason why is because it is the perfect way to trick people that aren't artists into thinking that your art is perfect and flawless. Sometimes what'll happen is people will say, oh, I didn't actually notice that. And you just effectively ruined your own drawing for them. I need you guys to resist the urge to be self-deprecating and to keep your damn mouth shut. I'm not gonna tell you a thing about what went wrong with this drawing. That's up to you. Look at the drawing, find it out for yourself. The most challenging thing about Microsoft Paint, I've talked about this before, is that there's no pen pressure and there's no real way to blend. So I had to be careful with my colors. Every single one of these paintings I worked on today was really difficult because of the blending and techniques that were used to create it, because I ended up having to create a lot of the blending and colors myself, and it was so much more tedious than it would have been if I were to use oil paint or if I were to use pastels or whatever. I cannot be bothered. So this is what we got. Girl with a Pearl Earring, FA version. Ow. Do you like it? Well, it's gonna get a lot worse from here, so buckle up. The next painting is the ever classic Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. This is the classic of classics. Everybody's seen it, right? If you somehow don't know it, I am genuinely impressed. I don't know how you accomplished that. So Starry Night was painted in June of 1889 at St. Paul de Massal. There's a lot of words in this script I can't pronounce. The monastery functioned as a psychiatric ward back in the day, and it was where Van Gogh checked himself in after he famously, or infamously, cut off his left ear. Yeah, you guys know the story, right? I read that he apparently wrote to his brother calling the painting a failure, which is completely ironic because it's one of the most famous paintings in the world today, which really goes to show how unfair art can be sometimes. Sometimes the thing you thought was your worst work is the thing that connects with everybody the most. I would like to now take the time to apologize to Mr. Van Gogh. Mr. Van Gogh, I'm very sorry because I underestimated you. I thought the Starry Night would be a walk in the park, it'd be the easiest shit ever, and I would smoke it. That's not what happened. This piece is way more complicated than it looks. So the original piece is made using oil pastels, and if you've ever worked with that medium before, you know that it's kind of waxy, and the way you blend colors is by building up really thick layers of pigment. Let me remind you that MS Paint does not have blending, although I had a massive advantage with this piece in particular, and it was the fact that I'm in MS Paint, and my style really encourages obvious mark making, which is extremely prevalent in this painting. Yay! This is like the most trust the process painting I've worked on in a while. My excuse for today is that this is Effie's Starry Night, not Dango's, which means it can look however I want it to look. I think my favorite part about reading about this painting was on Wikipedia. There's this big paragraph that talks about how the moon in his painting is not quote astronomically correct, which, like, yeah. Is anything on this canvas naturally occurring? I don't think so. After all my struggle, this is Effie's Starry Night. I'm chilling with it, and if you don't like it, I don't like you. Boom. And for our final painting, The Creation of Adam by Michelangelo. It was painted by Michelangelo for the Sistine Chapel and was completed in 1512. It was part of the ceiling painting that was commissioned by Pope Julius II, and it took 4 years to complete the whole thing. I don't want YouTube to get mad at me for showing this painting or drawing this painting, because if you've seen the original, Adam's is his thing he's hanging out. I'm gonna be censoring his half of the painting until I add the advertiser-friendly outfit in the time-lapse. So I'm very sorry. No weenie, no boy nipples, covered all of it up. This kind of brought me back to art school once again. During my time there, I was a graphic design major, so I didn't do a lot of fine arts, but I was forced to take a couple of classes and dabble in it, and during my time, I created 3 live nude model studies. One of them was a man, the other 2 were women. Every single time I painted nude model studies, I would omit the parts. Unfortunately, I have no interest in painting your penis, Adam. I'm sorry. Another thing, I really hate to be the bearer of bad news for some of you, but there's really nothing exciting about nude model studies. It is usually in a very hot room. The model is extremely stiff from holding a pose for several minutes at a time, and they're freezing because, you know, they're not wearing clothes. And everyone else in the room who is staring at the model is so busy trying to get everything on their canvas correct. They're too zoned in to think about the fact that, oh yeah, there's boobs in front of me. It's also, you know, really disrespectful to think of it that way. The models are there to be studied, they're not there to be objectified, so. You might recall earlier that I mentioned my philosophy that I don't point out my flaws in the paintings I make so that nobody will unintentionally notice them. Doesn't really work here. Something went horribly wrong. And to be honest, I'd already given up. I didn't address it, but yeah, I did put anime eyes on God, and I will put anime eyes onto Adam. What are you gonna do about it? Look at me. I'm an anime girl. But Effie, why did you attempt realism for the girl with a pearl earring, but you're not even trying here? Because I don't want to. I'm aware something went wrong. You're aware something went wrong. Unfortunately, I don't care. We roll, baby. I worked on this for 1 whole hour of my life and ran out of steam so bad. I would like to point out that Michelangelo worked on the Sistine Chapel for 4 years straight. Props to you, Michelangelo, but not for me. This is Effie's creation of Adam. Thumbs up. In conclusion, you can technically make anything in Microsoft Paint. The real question you should be asking is, should you? No. Thank you for watching my video. Subscribe to my channel if anything about this pleased you. And I don't know. I'll see you later. Bye.